Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a bonus episode of the Triple P Show. I'm your host for tonight, Pat's Path Predictor. Man, oh man, the last 48 hours have been very wild. But before we get started, can we talk about how we've just started the stream. We've already have 40 people in the show right now. That's awesome. Clap that up for all those who are starting to show up here. We're going to have a great night tonight because we have a lot to talk about with you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the screen that we have for you for what I'm seeing right here. But before we do that and talk more about anything with what's going on here, we got to introduce some of our guests on the show for tonight. First is Logan, our co-host for tonight, since Ethan and David are not here. Logan, say hello to the show.
Hello, everybody.
Yep.
Welcome back to the newest addition to Triple P Plus. This is a bonus episode.
Very much.
And if we get enough support, we may extend for an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Good to have you back, Pat.
Yeah, for sure.
Good to have you back.
Thank you very much, Logan. We also have LTW on the show. LT, welcome back.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for joining.
Yep. We have Delta on the stream as well. Delta, say hello to the audience.
Good evening, everyone.
Yep, and Trevor's in the show as well. He is in the call. He's currently muted. I'm not sure if he. Not sure if you'd like to say. Yep, there he is. Go ahead and say hello to the audience.
Good evening, everyone.
Yep, we're gonna have a fun night tonight. So here's what we have for you guys right here. In the last 48 hours in the Atlantic, we had not one, not two, but 3 areas of interest tagged in this basin. 2 of them are in the main development region. The third one just tagged in the subtropical Atlantic. We also have 3 areas of interest in the Eastern Pacific as well, particularly this area of interest, CP93, that is heading towards Hawaii potentially, that we're also going to be watching out for. We have a lot to break down for you guys tonight, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm just going to go ahead and read out what's going on according to the NHC, and then we're going to go from there. I'm just going to give my spiel, and then I'm going to turn it over to my callers in the show as well and have them do a few things and have them talk through it as well. So with that being said, let's dive into this. So the first area of interest that was tagged, at least in chronological order, was this 1050. This is the second area tagged later that day, which was yesterday, and this was just tagged right here. We're just going to go ahead and go over these in order, so that way we can get through this. This is our area of interest tagged as of right now. This was the first wave we talked about on the Friday's Triple P show that we were kind of keeping an eye on, but at the same time we weren't thinking too much was going to come of it. Well, it looks, at least according to the NHC, it might have a little bit of a shot. So let's hear what they have to say. A broad area of showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located about midway between the coast of West Africa and the Lesser Antilles. Some gradual development of this wave is possible during the early to middle part of this week, while it moves quickly westward across the central tropical Atlantic. Upper-level winds are expected to become less conducive for development later in the week as the system approaches the Lesser Antilles. 20% chance of formation in the next 7 days, 0 in the next 48 hours. This is the first wave that is currently in the main development region. Let's go ahead and pull up some satellite just to kind of give you some context and give you an idea of what we are looking at. Yeah, it's this one right here that I'm paying attention to. Kind of keep an eye on that. Kind of the convection's a little bit disorganized and all over the place at this current point, but I still want to keep a decently close eye on it in case we have a little bit of a sleeper development and a sleeper situation go on with that. So that's what we have for the first one. The second one is the 1050 right here, and this is a tropical wave that I have been watching for the last few days. We're going to go ahead and explain why, and we have a lot to talk about, with particularly with this one tonight. We will get to that in a bit, but I wanted first to go over what the NHC has for us. A small area of low pressure has formed a few hundred miles south of the Cabo Verde Islands. This system is forecast to move slowly westward and merge with a tropical wave in a couple of days, and environmental conditions are forecast to be more conducive for development by midweek. A tropical depression could form by the latter half of this week while the system moves westward to west-northwestward across the central tropical Atlantic. 10% chance of formation in the next 48 hours, 50% in the next 7 days. So that's what we have going on here. This is the one that's been showing a lot of model support. We're going to be talking about that ad nauseum tonight, but we will get to that in just a second. But because this is our breaking news for tonight, we have a new area of interest designated according to the NHC. And let's go ahead and read this out for right here. A trough of low pressure located a few hundred miles west-northwest of Bermuda is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Some development of this system is possible during the next couple of days while it moves quickly eastward, well north of Bermuda across the western and central tropical Atlantic, subtropical Atlantic that is. The system is forecast to reach cooler waters later this week, ending its chances of formation after Wednesday, giving it a 10% chance of formation in that time period. So that's the situation according to the Atlantic. Let's go ahead and take a quick gander at things that are going on in terms of satellite imagery. Let's just go ahead and start Atlantic-wide. Our two areas of interest that are currently going on in parts of the main development region are this area over here in the central, pretty much dead center, around 40 degrees north, with this tropical wave, and you have this area of interest right here. We were talking about this a couple of moments ago. We were talking about this a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. We were thinking this wave, and the NHC was thinking about this wave, was actually to come off on Tuesday. No. It's actually the tropical wave that came off a couple of days ago, what we were looking at and we were talking about. It's starting to move over there. It splashed down yesterday, and now it's starting to produce its own source of convection. We'll talk. I'm going to turn it over to our callers in just a second just to kind of get their thoughts on this, but that's just an overall summary. Here is our subtropical area right here. According to parts of the subtropical over here, definitely starting to see something potentially starting to wrap up. Maybe something subtropical develops out of this. We're going to have to watch for the next couple of days. So that's kind of my opening spiel for what we have going on in the Atlantic. Let's go ahead and start turning it over to our callers to get their thoughts of generally all three of these areas and what the environment will be looking like, and just start dissecting what we are seeing here. By the way, we have almost 70 people in the stream right now. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, will be to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our callers. So whenever you guys are ready, go ahead.
All right, I'll open us up with
Perfect.
So yeah, we're literally just getting ready to start the stream, and then I look at the NHC because we're waiting for our 8 p.m. advisory to come out, and then we found the subtropical AOY, which just got announced basically by the NHC. Which, if I am honest with you, I think just because of how good the subtropics are looking this year and how much subtropics get promoted by El Ninos in their wind shear fuckery, I think they should have gone at 10:30. To be honest with you, because the only inhibiting factor seems to be your cooler waters. Which, after seeing what Fausto did, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. And then the other thing too is that looking at past model data, which we will get into later, there is an Aaron track, not intensity. Based off of what we're seeing, possibly a Dorian track as well.
We'll get to that
basically
in a
where
bit,
it's going
yes.
east off the Cap. Yep, east of Cabo Verde, going east northeast or west northwest. Excuse me, and we'll see that later. And for now, I'm going to turn it over to our other callers.
All right.
I'll go next.
All right, LT.
So yeah, like, I mean, am I shocked that we saw this new AOI? Kind of, but I kind of expected to this season to be somewhat like mostly subtrop, near land, kind of like what Bertha did, and maybe a few storms in the MDR, but the MDR is going to kind of be shut down for basically the entire year, because that's normally due to El Niños, and I was a bit shocked, but not really shocked that I saw that AOI. It did look really good on Geo, like the satellite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, basically what Serge said. The only
Yeah,
inhibiting
indeed.
factor is the cooler waters.
Yeah, in terms of the subtropics.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's actually gonna be our wild card. What do you think, Pat?
That could be our wild card if something that could be our sleeper pick right there for potential tropical development. Yeah, we'll have
I'd
to
also
see.
say more for influences on steering currents, because the weaker the steering currents or how little the steering currents are going to be impacted, this storm could influence steering currents of our most likely area to develop, our 1050, and definitely has us on the ropes. Wouldn't you agree so, Pat?
I would say that for right now, because it's just still a tropical, well, it's basically a subtropical wave, I'd argue at this current point.
Yeah.
Same thing with the NHC. I wouldn't say it has too
Mhm.
much of an effect right now. If it does develop into something and then you have our area of interest start developing quicker than what we were expecting, you might start seeing problems with that. But for right now, because the
Oh,
distance,
yeah.
I think for right now, it won't have too big of an effect on things. Unless either of those systems start rapidly organizing and rapidly developing. And what I mean by that, say in the next 48 hours or so. That's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, that's why I've been saying wild card, because we don't know for sure, but it's a possibility of the unexpected and could cause just a change that we did not foresee and kind of just cause an extreme area of the cone that the NEC has or will have either on the AOY or potential tropical depression invest and all that will be
Right.
subject to change.
Of course.
You definitely agree so too, right, Pat?
Yeah, I definitely am in agreement with that. Right now, what I want to see is two things. Number one, how is the subtropical system going to develop with the environment it has right now? Right now, it has okay conditions. It has plenty of warm water. Can it take advantage of that? Also, I just want to check the shear map real quickly, just so that way I can generalize what's going on over there. Let's see what we can... Okay, that's the icon. Let's use the European for this example. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Here's our bulk shear right here. Okay, where this subtropical system is, it's actually in a pocket of low wind shear, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
With the exception of some stuff going on a bit further to the south over here. What's our dry air aspect? Yeah, it's actually... If it can take advantage of the conditions it has ahead of it, and if the vorticity starts rotating a bit more as well, coupled with the increase in water temperature, and at least in terms of water-based convection, it has a shot of development. The question is, at that current point, how could this potentially impact the MDR with the weaker steering currents? So,
Yes.
this is,
And
I
my
would
question
say,
for you, Pat, too,
yeah, I would
is looking at soundings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
What I would say to that before I move on to the MDR is that overall it has a good start, but it has a decent amount of time too, about 2.5 days. But if it wants to
Yeah.
get its act together, it has to do it now rather than wait a day and then get started. That's the main thing. If we start seeing a bit of hesitation with this, I wouldn't necessarily say this is going to be too big of a situation. Whereas with these two over here, at least for our area further to the west, if it can get its act together in the next couple of days, it'll have a shot at another sleeper situation. But that overall, we'll talk about this in a second, but it's going to be running into a worse environment than where it's at now. Whereas the second wave over here, it has a lot more time to get its act together. So that's kind of my main thoughts on this currently, just not without looking at models just yet, without looking at all the data, just based on current observations.
Oh yeah, 100%. And for more on that, I think we should hear what our other guys in the call, have to say about that for
Absolutely.
another perspective. What do you think, Pat?
Yep, let's go ahead
All right,
and turn
let's
it
turn it over
over.
to Delta.
Yep, Delta, go for
Let's
it.
turn over to Delta.
Alrighty. Yeah, the one in the subtropics, fun fact, that is actually that was the other wave that we
Mhm.
were watching that a few days ago had some model support by in the southwestern Atlantic.
Yeah.
And now it's coming off the coast, it's getting pulled out, but it's going over the Gulf Stream right now, which
Yep.
is why we're seeing we're seeing ample thunderstorm activity. And on satellite, there is a broad, sharp wind axis as well as on ASCAT. So, hey, Pat, could you pull up that ASCAT pass I sent in?
Yes, I can. Let's go ahead and show it here. That's our subtropical AOI. Yep, let's go ahead and I'll let you talk about this, and I want you to show us what you want us to look for and where should we be looking.
Okay, so we're seeing basically this is a satellite measurement of the surface winds. And what we're seeing is we're seeing a kink in those winds.
All right.
So the wind direction is going from south towards southwest, but we're seeing kinks. We're seeing, I believe those would be westerlies. If the winds are going from west to east, those would
Yes.
be
Yep.
westerlies.
Is that about 34 degrees
we're-
north?
Yep.
All right.
And so we're also seeing it's like a 90-degree curve. It's not closed. There's no closed area of low pressure or anything, but right now it is a kink in the wind field, which is showing some vorticity and the pressure. There's lower pressure there, but
Right.
it's not closed. So what we want, so if this is going to develop, what it needs to do, we want to see barbs where the lines and the little fingers.
Right.
We want to see barbs pointing down to the north of barbs that are the fingers are pointing up. That would signify a closed low. But right now we don't see anything, so this is still an open, this is still a trough, an open trough, but we have seen subtropical systems spin up rather quickly. So this is one of those things we need to keep an eye on. It's not going to be impacting really anybody but shipping interests. But we could potentially see our sea name out of this one.
This could potentially be Cristobal if it gets its act together quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at that ASCAP pass right here. I would say from what I'm seeing, I'd say we're about 50 to 60% closed off right here from what I've seen. It's still a relatively open, low pressure system, but in terms of it starting to rotate, we're about 50 to 60% of the job finished from what I'm already seeing based on the wind barbs and the rotation that's going on. It's mainly this area to the north and this area to the west that's still pretty opened up over there. But ultimately, we'll just have to see both how this starts to get its act together. Already off to a good start with this in mind and given the conditions it has ahead of it. What do you think, Delta?
It's in probably one of the best environments in the Atlantic besides the Eastern MDR at the moment. And this is where in El Nino years where this is one of your hot spots for development if you get one. This is in the subtropical Atlantic. The Caribbean is pretty much shut down. It's the Gulf. It's right off the eastern seaboard. And it would be MDR systems that if they can survive to get into the southwestern Atlantic, which we're going to be talking about later.
Yep.
Very soon. Those are going to be your potential waves and systems can develop.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on satellite with this area as well briefly before we start getting into the main meat of things. But yeah, had some good convection earlier. Started to lose some of it a little bit earlier as it became less frontal and more of its own system. But looking at what we've seen just over the last, I'd say, hour or so, another big burst of convection is going on over here. This
Mhm.
already looks pretty good. It's a little naked, I would say, but it looks good if it can produce some more convection, which for the most part it actually has. There's actually a couple of areas where it's doing that. 1, 2, 3. It's this big blob and these two other areas further to the northeast. If it can keep
And
doing that, especially as we go into the night, then this will be in actually pretty decent shape. What do you say?
I would agree with you. And I also say that according to ASCAT, it's already got on the surface about 25 knot, so about 27, 30 mile per hour
Yeah.
winds.
Yeah,
So if this
from what
can
I've
get a
seen.
close
Close to
low,
30. Yep.
so if this can get a closed low, this could become either a PTC or a depression. It's already
PTCs
got
are
those
designated
winds.
if it's close to land, which Bermuda's the only thing close to it. And I don't think they'd get TS impacts given what we're seeing, but you never know. So,
Yep.
yep. All right. So with that in mind, do want to keep an eye on this throughout the night to see how it's going to progress. But the main meat of tonight's show is what's going on in the MDR, because things were looking very quiet for a while. Then a couple of nights ago, we went on the show. We talked about what was going on over there. We looked at overall pretty decent conditions, but we had a relatively bad environment on top of it with the trade winds. And I was talking about this on Friday night, that if these systems want to develop, they're going to have to give the fight for their lives. And from what I've seen, from what the NHC has evidently seen based on the fact that they've designated this, these systems, especially AOI-2 over here, southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, are ready to give the fight for their lives. What are your guys' thoughts on what you're seeing so far, and give your overall opinions on what we could be looking for?
I would just like
Oh,
to say this.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you go first.
Oh,
Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
go ahead, Delta.
Yeah, this is the healthiest Cape Verde wave, African wave that we have had all year.
Yep.
I'm just going to say it flat out. It's got a decent amount of convection. It's got a okay environment considering the crazy El Nino, super El Nino we are, because we're literally right on the verge with our climatologically speaking, a super El Nino already,
Yeah.
which is bonkers. But right now, it's got good bones, but it's got to put meat on them.
Yep.
It's the best way I can say.
Mhm.
It's a sharp wave axis right now, and we're also starting to see the hints of some cyclonic rotation.
Especially
on
with Wave
infrared.
2, I'm noticing that. Is there a way I can zoom in on this just to kind of see? Okay, yes, we can. All right. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see this because I am sharing
Oh
my
yeah, I
screen with
could
you
kind of
guys.
see it.
You guys can.
I could
There is
kind of
some.
see it.
Yeah, there is some rotation starting to tighten up a bit on Wave 2 over here as more convection is starting to fire off. It looks to me that earlier we were seeing some more of that popcorn and convection, but now we're starting to see a little bit more sustained as Dmax is starting to pick up in this part of the world. So overall, it looks decently healthy. It just needs to keep building off of what we're seeing tonight and in the next couple of days.
And I would also just like to also mention, I was talking about the sharp wave axis. I'm
Yep.
talking also about wave 1, not
Yeah.
just 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something to notice further to the west. It's definitely kind of on that axis too. Kind of close to the intertropical convergence zone where that would typically be at this time of the year as well.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, LT, what was it that you wanted to add?
I wanted to add, I believe yeah, there is some rotation on actually both. I could see some broadness in the first one, but the second one, I see fairly all right circulation. Like if you look in around like where everything's blowing up,
Yep.
that's around where I would say is the potential, like where the NHC labeled the AOI for the second one.
Yep, that's it.
And also I was looking at the GFS wind anomalies, basically trade winds.
Yeah.
They are not that bad, I would say.
They're not as bad as what we saw yesterday or 2 nights
Yeah.
ago. Okay.
Yeah, they're not as bad.
All right. Is this the 12Z data that we're seeing this from?
This is 18Z GFS that I'm looking
Okay.
at.
Yeah, 18Z. I want to look at this. I do want to say, though, I also want to look at other runs as well just to cross-reference things
Yes.
because
Yes,
the
of
18Z
course.
GFS tends to be the most aggressive out of all of them.
It's
of
the
the runs.
200. Yeah, that one.
Here's the 200 millibar U wind anomalies. Okay, next few days. Okay, so when we go for right now, so far not the best, but it does actually
Yeah.
get better. At least the 5-day average does, especially going in the next, especially as we go towards days 5 through 9 across much of the MDR and especially over in the southwestern Atlantic basin. That is something we will absolutely need to talk about and watch tonight, especially with the long-term trends that I am noticing.
And then look at the lower dynamics.
Yeah, so that's our upper dynamics. Here's our lower dynamics for U-wind anomalies. Okay, so overall, a bit mixed where it's at right now. You're definitely seeing the stronger upper level, weaker lower level discomfort right there, but it does get better. It does get better.
Yeah.
In fact, long term, it actually gets quite a bit better for it, as a matter of fact, and it becomes a bit more on the average side. So that disconnect is definitely starting to fade considerably, according to the 18Z GFS.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of noting. I only looked at the GFS. I haven't seen the others, so
Yeah.
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 12Z GFS just for cross-reference right here. Lower levels, definitely a similar situation, albeit not as aggressive. Upper levels, let's go to 200. Let's go to 200 millibar U wind anomalies. Okay, five segments are missing on the 12Z, but yeah, it's not as aggressive. I want to wait for the 0Z to cross-check everything for sure. What other?
And also, the 1010 AOI is in a really good condition.
In the subtropics?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were mentioning that earlier. It's already off to a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just has to increase that vorticity to a certain degree, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I could see this becoming a possible storm, maybe depression, like near the end of the week. If this continues.
At the rate it's going, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, LT. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to cross-reference something. I'm going to see... Okay, yeah, I can grab Canadian upper-level OBS. This the 12Z. Okay, not showing what the GFS is showing. A bit more on the conservative side. Let's look at our lower dynamics with our U-wind anomalies. Okay, the lower dynamics get better for this, especially with the environment we are dealing with. The upper levels kind of remain a bit stubborn. So, yeah, okay. This is why the NHC is giving us a little bit more breathing room. I'm just kind of dissecting what we're seeing in the environment and kind of why the NHC is going as aggressive as it has been, because it's caught a lot of people off guard. And I can evidently see that because we have over 100 people in the stream now, as a matter of fact. Thank you for joining. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. So, with that being said, Canadian shows that. What is the euro showing? Just for context, here's the 12C euro. Let's go ahead and go to that. Okay, let's take a quick. Okay, yeah, the lower dynamics, at least in context with the upper dynamics, are starting to match a little bit. No, that's the shear anomalies. I want to look at the 200 millibar U wind anomalies. There we go. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Definitely looks a lot more in line, I would say. Still very red in the upper levels of every single one of these models, but definitely becoming a bit better. But I would argue, based on what I'm seeing for right now, yeah, okay. All right. I would argue the best conditions are probably, or for right now, they're in the main development region, but long term, they'd probably be in the southwestern basin. What do you guys think?
I agree with you.
Agreed.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Delta, you sent us some satellite imagery of that wave axis that you were talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and I'm going to pull this up real quickly. This is wave 1, I believe. Are you seeing anything interesting with that?
Yeah, if you look at those lower level clouds, how they're going, that they originally are going westerly and then they pinch going more northwesterly.
Yeah.
And then you also have flow that it's sort of, so if you drew a wave axis,
Yeah.
you would clearly see that it's a sharp wave axis. It's not closed, but there is definitely kinking of the winds. Even if we don't have good ASCAP passes,
Yeah.
you can tell on satellite that there is at least a sharp wave axis. And
Right.
there's plenty of convection with it at the moment.
Yeah, it remains relatively disorganized, but you're definitely seeing more convection starting to slowly fire off. We'll have to see what happens, especially in the next 24 hours, though. But the vorticity is definitely starting to uptick slightly, at least in the last few hours. The reason I bring this up is because this is heading potentially towards the Lesser Antilles. Now, is it going to make it all the way there? We're not 100% sure. It needs to get its act together now if it has any shot of heading over there and potentially bring any big impacts for you guys over in that region as well. Because let's take a look at our water vapor imagery. This system is going to be battling some dry air in the next 36 to 48 hours, starting off. You do have a wave ahead of it that's kind of helping it a little bit, but you still have a lot of dry air to the north of the system. And there's also a lot of wind shear in this area over here, and especially as you head towards the Caribbean, that's going to start chipping away at whatever structure this does try to produce. So if it has anything up its sleeve, it's going to have to do it in the next 36 to 48 hours. Regardless, though, significant flash flooding, I would say, is probably your primary threat for those of you tuning in from the Lesser Antilles, at least with this first area of interest right here. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's definitely been an interesting situation.
And I also just like to bring up, I am not, and this is my personal opinion, I am not expecting this wave to develop much.
No.
It potentially could become a depression, but is a low chance. The wave after this one, that is the one that we want to keep an eye on.
Yes. Especially long term.
Yes, because models are more, I would say, friendly to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this also has a fork in the road with its steering, and where it can go in the long term could have implications on what this becomes.
Yes.
Because models range from crashing into the Caribbean and getting utterly destroyed by all that shear. And you can clearly see that shear on water vapor.
Yep.
Go back to that to the first wave view.
Yes, we get
on water vapor.
All right. Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, look at
Easily.
all of that shear right on the right in the Caribbean.
Yep.
Look at all those cells getting just shredded to the
Yeah.
southeast. Yeah, that is basically the nail in a coffin for any kind of tropical system right now. But the models are hinting that the second wave could potentially take more of a northerly route and miss the Caribbean. That is when it can get interesting. But we'll get more into that in a little bit.
Yes, we will. Thank you very much, Delta. Back to our second wave right here. Yeah, I know we kind of talked a little bit about this. I want to get into models and conditions in a little bit, so that way we can kind of fully extrapolate what's going on here. But over the course of the last, how long is this? Over the course of the last, I'd say, especially 6 to 8 hours, you've seen way, 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 way more convection than previously. And previously, the convection you were seeing was generally popcorning convection. You could even see that, especially in the early stages of this. But our first area of sustained convection didn't start up until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time, off the coast of the Cabo Verde Islands over here. You're seeing a lot more of that sustained convection as the system's starting to take advantage of Dmax in that part of the region and that part of the world, I would say. The main question here for right now, looking at satellite imagery alone, is does it build off of it? Does it detach from the ITCZ? And can it sustain this convection past Dmax? That is going to be critical for what happens down the line. Also, another thing to preface, this system does have more time to develop. It has more time to organize than our area further to the west. This one has 36 to 48 hours, in my opinion, to get its act together. This one has several days. And worst case scenario, this wave will act as a sacrifice for this wave right here. I know, I sound like some sort of Aztec ritual guy over here, but that's how weather works sometimes. Sometimes tropical waves ahead of the main boss over here can act as a sacrificial wave to produce more moisture ahead of it in a more favorable environment. I remember Beryl in 2024 did this especially. It was expected to be moving through a somewhat dry environment. Guess what? A tropical wave in front of it started producing a lot of convection over in the Eastern Pacific, not the Eastern Pacific, the Eastern Caribbean and the Western MDR. We had a much more moist environment ahead of it, and we all saw what happened there. Am I saying that this is going to happen here? Absolutely not. No. But I'm using that as an example as to sometimes tropical waves can act as a sacrificial wave for other stronger waves. For those of you in the call, what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, Pat, I think that's a very good thing to be saying in a way, because like it gives us more context as to what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It also gives us more context on to what exactly is going on in the Atlantic, and I got a few things. It looks like there's hints of cyclonic rotation that was just discovered by Delta, and
Oh,
also something else too in terms of the conditions. I pulled up sea surface temperature and sea surface temperature anomaly in the chat if you want to show that to the audience.
yeah, we gotta look
Basically,
at
what
some
I noticed.
conditions.
Yeah, the first week of August basically did what July did in a whole month within a week.
Oh, that's I have pulled up on Climate Reanalyzer right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the screenshots in the chat from Climate Reanalyzer.
Well, what do you say that you look at my stream right now on the call?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's basically what I'm noting. It basically warmed up how July did in a week, where you
Yeah.
had cooler waters in your MDR that just dissipated, and you got warming across the whole entire basin.
Yep.
And in the subtropics, if you show them the sea surface temperature, not the anomaly,
Yep.
go back to the first before you do so, or you go to the first
There
real
we
quick.
go.
Look at the Cabo Verde
Yeah,
when you scroll through.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
just take a
got
look.
way warmer in terms of what's going on. We had a
Yeah.
maritime heat wave off the coast of Mauritania that helped with it too, though.
And look at the subtropics too.
Yeah, that pushed way far to the east.
Yep, it did.
Do you know what I have to say to that?
What's up?
What?
What a coincidence.
I know, perfect timing.
Yeah, legit perfect timing. So, yeah. Okay, someone in chat's asking, "Hey Pat, I am from St. Martina Island in the Leeward Islands. What could be the possibility that this gives us impacts?" Right now, it's too early to determine. I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but right now, it's too early to determine that. The reason being, this is still an area of interest. We don't exactly know what is going on. Models are still a bit indecisive in terms of its of potential intensity. Track-wise, we have a general idea, albeit it's a bit broad. But intensity, we are still waiting to see what happens. So I will let you know. I will keep you updated on that. But right now, it's too early to determine because this was just designated and this is just now getting its act together. We still have plenty of time to figure some things out. But back to the climate reanalyzer. Go ahead, LT.
I'd say just keep an eye on it. Just have stuff, just plan out like some of your preparations, listen to your news, to see what they want you to do, just in case of major flooding or something like that.
Yeah.
Or just have like somewhere to go, just in case if stuff gets ugly.
Yes, absolutely, Delta. Oh, sorry, LT. Sorry. Thank you very much for that.
You're fine.
All right. What do we got here in the Atlantic? What a coincidence! Back to what we were saying.
Oh yeah.
So,
Indeed.
yeah, that's what we have. These SST anomalies. Man, oh man, we went from below average to above average everywhere in the span of a week.
Sorry to cut you off.
Hmm?
What is that off of Portugal?
That, my friends,
Oh,
is
no.
what a heat wave does to your water temperatures.
Oh yep.
And that is flowing further down to the south.
Mhm.
So
That's gonna fuel the MDR's warmth even more.
yeah, the main question is, can the Atlantic capitalize off of that? That's the main question, because the Atlantic Nina is falling apart right now. But we have such a ridiculously strong El Nino that the question is can it capitalize off of that? That's the main thing. We'll have to watch it. But man, just looking at water temperatures alone, I'm going to pull up Cyclonic WX and start looking at conditions. Water temperatures across much of the MDR, where this is currently at, where our AOI is currently at, is sitting in an area of about 28 degrees Celsius. It's forecasted to stay between 27 and 28 throughout its entire time until it approaches the Western Atlantic. The downside, at least in terms of development itself, and not more so the good news, I would say, for everybody else, is that it's going to be running into wind shear. But you have warm water across much of the MDR that this system is already taking advantage of. You're looking at pretty considerable convection for a 1050 right here. And looking at your water temperatures, you can understand why. It's going to.
I do have something else to point out in that, Pat.
Yeah, go for it.
So this thing that we noted too is also an MCV or multi-convective vortex low.
Yeah.
And what we saw with Bertha, which was the same thing, it was a multi-convective vortex low. Basically, if that does occur, if we have shear, it might be able to survive the shear very well at that if this thing still remains multi-convective vortex, as it could just do a down shear relocation and basically restack itself and just basically take advantage and do like a support, kind of like what Bertha did, of which shall we share some of the data we found on Bertha, or shall we wait on that?
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into that right now, mainly because I want to focus on what we have going on hand, because that's what a lot of people are here for. But what I will tell you is that I normally would agree with that assessment if it weren't for one simple thing, And that being that there is, looking at the wind shear, I'm going all over the place here, but just to show right here, let's stop 48 hours out. Ahead of this system, you're going to start seeing a wall of shear starting to build up just to the west of it, right here, as the system progresses.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Any
I see.
down shear relocation isn't going to do anything. What needs to happen is one of two things. A, this wind shear business is going to have to calm down. Or B, it's going to have to fight like hell and get through it and get to the promised land, that being the southwestern Atlantic basin. Even then, I don't know how favorable it would be. But looking at what I'm seeing, it's going to have a much, from what I'm seeing, it's going to have a much better shot than what we were originally thinking of reaching there. The question is, can it take advantage and can it reorganize? For that, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
How about the
Yeah,
200
that's a fair
millibar level?
We looked at 200 millibar wind.
Yeah,
All right, LT.
because
Work your magic. What do you do? You want to go to 144 hours out again?
I
It's 120.
there seems to be some pretty good you could see the tut clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's
Just
this right
north
here.
of that 1013.
Yep.
North of the 1013. There seems to be a high pressure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Serge. Seems to be a high pressure just northeast of the low, the 1013 low. Yeah.
This?
That looks like low pressure.
Yeah, like an
that
upper
is a
level low.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's going inwards.
Oh, okay. So outwards is okay.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's favorable. It's kind of on the neutral side, I would say.
Yeah.
Neutral to like, I'd say partly favorable, but kind of unfavorable at the same time due to the tut limiting development, but it is
Sure.
in a ULAC, which we mentioned, and the ULAC does seem to help bolster, sustain stuff.
Well-
Thank you, Delta.
Yeah, Delta, hold up. Do you want me to show this on stream? Delta? Okay, he's muted.
Yeah, you can.
All right, because this is the European ensembles, the EPS. This is our shear 10 days out. What do you want us to take a look at?
If we look at, like, say, the operational, so pull up another screen with the Euro operational 12Z.
All right, let's do that. 200. There we go. Let's go to 234. Okay.
Okay, so this is some of the differences. Is that the Euro operational, which is just one run. This is one run of, the control run, let's say.
Right.
Of the Euro. The ensembles, it takes the average of all of its members, and then it prints out. So if we go to the EPS.
Yep.
So it's showing that there is the potential that the shear in the Southwest Atlantic may let up more than what the Euro is hinting, the Euro operational is hinting at.
I want to.
And if you
go ahead, just keep going. I'm sorry.
All right, now go to the operational Euro and pull up the EPS on your end, the wind shear.
All right. Oh.
Okay, now go back about to 160 hours.
I'll do 168.
168. So right now,
the
regular Euro has a wall of shear, and our second wave is about to start heading north of our Leeward Islands.
Yes.
Is hitting a massive tut. So there is still some shear, but if you go forward in the EPS, that shear starts breaking down.
Yeah, it completely
And we
implodes.
also see it on the operational. So if you go operational 204,
All right. ECMWF.
204 hours out,
Yep.
that strong belt of shear is broken down. And now it's more just like
Whatever
more
this
like
is. Yeah.
whatever that is. So it's one of another things is that if this second wave can manage to, it's going to have a better environment. It's still probably not going to be very favorable, but it's going to be better than if it were go into the Caribbean, if it get into the southwestern Atlantic.
Yeah. For sure. I want to go back to the EPS. I want to see what the 0Z was showing at this current point to see what exactly is going on here. Okay, this is consistent. Okay, the 0Z is this. Yeah, this is consistent pretty across the board. Normally, I would go, okay, how far out is this and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and do this. Here is the 12Z. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm just trying to flip between two runs. Right
And
here.
the GFS also shows that belt of shear breaking down at the same time.
The GFS operational?
Operational. I'm taking a look at the ensembles right now.
Let's see the 12. Oh, yeah, I see it too. Yep.
Yep. Ensembles
The
break
main
it down
question-
too.
The main question is if this is our tropical wave that far out, is this shear or is the storm itself acting this way? That's the question. Actually,
You're
no,
looking
that's
at
an
the-
upper level low. No, that's an upper level low right here.
Yeah, so that would probably why there's no wave in there is because that upper level low,
Yep.
the shear gets pinched into an upper level low,
Yeah.
and that's what causes shear on our system.
GFS
It's on the
ensemble.
GF.
Oh. Okay. The ensembles want is this interesting? Okay. I'm looking at this right now. Okay, no, this is the 18Z GFS ensemble. 12Z, this is better. They want that belt of shear to collapse on the ensembles. In terms of the operational runs, they're looking at a relatively strong upper level low. The ensembles are saying it's not going to be as strong as you think it is. So,
And because the ensemble's taken all of the members and then average everything out, so we're seeing on average across all of those members how many of the GFS or the Euro members have, that some of them or a majority of them are showing that shear belt from the Caribbean across the MDR to weaken.
yeah.
That's something that we need to keep an eye on, because that could open the door. Let's say it could crack open the door to let maybe something through.
Yeah. That's definitely interesting for sure. Okay. Okay, so water temperatures are going to be good all the way down the stretch. Wind shear is looking better by the run. I want to see how the 0Z progresses before I jump to any conclusions. What's our dry air aspect? That's the main thing that we're going to need to watch. Because that's our wild card, in my opinion. That's the main thing we're going to want to watch. By the way, be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. Feel free to join the Storms United Discord server as well. The link to that is in the pinned chat below. But ultimately, looking at the dry air aspect of things, so right here, okay, I'm looking at it. Let's start at the beginning. And this is at 12Z. Based on what you're seeing right now, what are your overall thoughts?
I want to look at a sounding first.
Okay, where do you want to pluck it?
First, I would like to pluck one for the observations of the initialization on the models for each area
Okay.
of the Atlantic. That includes the subtropical area,
All
the
right.
area that will likely be dying, and the other area. And then later on throughout the week, when we notice a pocket, I'd like to look into
Okay,
that
it's about 38.
sounding there too.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
start about 38 degrees west here. Okay.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
soundings are going to tell us more than anything. And
Do you want us to go
yeah,
further
so
west?
it don't matter too much.
All right. First, explain to the audience why we are looking at these soundings, because they don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
Or at least a
So
large
first
portion of them
up,
probably don't.
So first up, what a sounding is, it's basically how your atmosphere is observed with height using simulated data at flight levels using a weather balloon that is launched typically for your official soundings. But this is a model based run designing a sounding based off the conditions it's seeing. Your red is your temperature and your green is your dew point. Basically, what you want to see is your temperature just. If your temperature decreases with height, you have instability. If your dew point just kind of stays near your temperature, you have very high relative humidity at that level.
Yeah.
If your temperature increases, you have an inversion, which is indicative of dry air, stabilization, and less storm activity. And
Yeah.
if your dew point is far away from your temperature, then you have a very low relative humidity, and thus you just have, excuse me, long day,
You take your
very
time.
dry air.
Yeah.
Yep. And then something else I want to look at here. So it's the shear on the side. It says 18 knots, which is already good of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the hodograph, which is this small graph in the
Northeast. Yeah.
far northeast,
Yeah.
northeast quadrant of the graph here, you see an overall westerly motion minus a few kinks at 500 and 200 millibars, which is indicative of not too bad of shear.
Right.
It's mostly in your upper levels, which don't matter as much because that's where you're having your outflow, your cloud tops being capped by temperature, the humidity, the environment, basically how thunderstorms work. You have a little
Exactly.
shear up there to help, as we were discussing before behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm seeing the lower levels, especially service to 850, it's going relatively in the same direction, minus one small directional change,
Sure.
which is so minuscule it shouldn't do much of anything.
Yeah.
Now, if you could go forward a frame.
All right. Let's go ahead and do this. That's 3 hours out. Let's go
Continuing to
to
look-
6 hours.
Continuing to look at this, the idea of the shear seems to remain. Also, you got some feedback.
Yep. Wait, what?
Yeah, you have a little feedback.
Oh, okay. Let me fix that. There you go.
Yep. All right. Anyways, continuing on, much better. The sounding remains mostly the same. You got some upper level split, which is indicative of that lighter green shade on your graph that you're seeing, and your temperature and dew point spread, or your red and green lines being spread apart, which is indicative of drier environment. Then looking back at the hodograph, you can see that there's a lot further of a direction before the winds to reach the next upper level millibar reading, which is indicative of as speed shear more than anything, which is typically less impactful on a system per se. If your upper levels are moving faster, your lower levels are still going to remain intact. It was cause a slight tilt that. Excuse me, I'm very tired tonight.
All right.
Anyways, basically your thunderstorms will still keep going. They'll get capped off at the upper levels per se, and just to allow your storm to strengthen, you just have warmer cloud tops. And you can see that there's quite a bit of shear up at the upper levels, like 500 millibars plus to 200 millibars, which is a sign of upper level like thunderstorm like support and growth. Because the
Yeah.
top of the thunderstorm, you want some shear to act as like an outflow with some going into the thunderstorm or the cloud base itself, kind of like a tropical weather. Your surface is based off the latent heat. Upper
Yep.
levels, you want a little bit, just a touch of severe weather dynamics influencing your cloud tops.
For sure.
Anyways, now can you zoom back out of that graph?
Yep.
Go to that second area.
Here's our second AOI right here for you, ladies and gentlemen. About the general area of where this is. Pretty moist area so far.
Well, for the most part, the 700 millibars looks a little drier than I'd like to see for a really good environment,
Sure.
but that's besides the point. You can see that your shear is you have more change in directions, but your winds aren't as fast. That would actually do more to a system, as you see here. You're going from surface to 850 millibars. You go back to where you are at 850 millibars, so that is a slight stack. However,
Yep.
it would be slightly unstacked at about 925 millibars or so,
All right.
give or take. And then you can see from 850 to 500, there's a lot of shear. Most of your shear is in your 500 to 850 millibar level for the for what would actually detriment a storm more than anything.
All right.
Then about 500 to 200 millibars may be slightly beneficial, considering it's mostly going in the same general direction, aside from at first, and then it kind of comes back and then goes back up towards the 200 millibars. So overall, if you were to average your 500 to 200 millibars, it's overall going in one direction.
All right.
Then you have your 200 and higher, which has very little shear to it, which
Yep.
tells me basically your thunderstorms will be a little choked up. So I'd say in a situation like this, you'd probably have cloud tops of about negative 65 degrees Celsius to negative 70 degrees Celsius, as opposed to your pop-up of 80 degrees Celsius, because your clouds aren't as high up or
Sure.
high level or cooler as you increase with height,
Yep.
because your clouds are being capped at the upper levels by shear and causing some dryer. Now, if you come back out of that one,
All right. What else?
next
do we
one
get?
I want to look at is the subtropical Atlantic. But if you go out a few hours first,
All right. Here.
once you see that moisture pocket,
Kind of like here.
right about there is good.
All right. Let's.
I
Take
wouldn't
a-
say there though for the sounding.
All right.
I would actually say just off the coast of the Carolinas.
This is 30 hours out. This system's moving pretty quickly to the east.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Then sorry about that. Anyways,
Yeah.
back to what we were looking at here. Yeah.
All right.
So looking at that, you can see there is some spread in the temperature and dew point. It's not terrible, but it's just lower levels have some drier. It's not enough to like really halt too much. It's mixable, as we all say,
Yeah.
and that's about a 10-degree excuse me, 10-degree spread, which you have about or almost 10-degree spread. You have about what looks like 8 degrees Celsius to about 3 degrees Celsius. So you have a 7 degrees Celsius change between your temperature and dew point,
Yeah.
which I'd have to look at that ratio in just a second here. Just a second here. I just got to do some calculations.
All right. But anyway, yeah,
If
that's
you want to speak for a second.
yeah. What I'll say to this is that from everything I've seen so far in all three of these areas, at least when you're looking at things from where they're at currently, they're all, with the exception of a little bit of dry air, at least in terms of your moisture components, it's definitely better than what I would have expected in all three of these areas. The question is that going to last forever? And the answer is probably not, especially with our first AOI over here. But overall, as I've seen more data come in and as time has continued to progress, I've definitely been starting to see better conditions for tropical development, at least for AOI 2 and potential subtropical number 3. What's up, Logan?
All right. So I calculated the humidity based on that.
All right.
That rounds to about 62% humidity.
Okay, that's more than enough.
Which, yeah, that's more than your average. Your average humidity is like 55, I want to say.
Yeah. Yep,
Which
about
definitely
55.
the storm can work with. Now, can you go down to the AOI number 2, where that would be by this point, and click a sounding on there?
There you go. Yep.
Oh,
Relative.
wow.
Yeah, it's the moisture pocket is very moist, and the shear that I'm seeing is like this is a bit further to the west than
Minimal.
yeah. This is a bit further to the west, but there's not much shear encapsulating this area. So whatever dry air is mainly going to stay north of it for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, wow. That
Yeah.
is.
Can we go a little further to the west, Pat?
yeah, let's go like right here,
Little bit southwest of that. West southwest.
right here.
Like right into the edge of the little further west.
Okay,
Right once we get into the darker green again.
like this.
Yeah, right in there.
Oh, that's where the
Little further east.
little. Okay,
Uh,
we're playing a game of whack-a-mole here.
right in
All right,
there,
here
right
you go.
in there.
Yep, I got it.
There we go. You got it, Pat. I see we're playing a little bit of geometry with these photographs, but
Yep.
your humidity is still overall great. I'm seeing that it seems to be about 5 degrees Celsius for your dew point,
Yeah.
and about, I would say, 10 degrees Celsius. So 5 degrees Celsius spread, which is even better, which if we do this, that is about a 71% humidity, which is more than enough for a storm to really get itself going.
Yeah, that might be
And
part of the sacrificial wave that we're seeing, at least if this doesn't develop. The sacrificial wave we're seeing ahead
Yep.
of this one, in part due to
Yeah.
that.
I will say, yep. I will say some of the shear does appear to be a little bit intense, closer to 500 millibars,
Yeah, I'm
which is
noticing it too.
around. Yeah, it's not extreme or anything. It's like slightly going backwards. However, I think because it is at such a sharp grade, friction will basically reduce those wind speeds, so the shear would act like less in that situation. Because when you have two areas of wind kind of coming together, they kind of oppose each other.
Yeah,
It's a little bit of a friction, and then it would probably weaken your winds, if not cause a different change in the winds. Kind of like how you have your what is called a call, where when you had hurricanes Humberto and Imelda.
yep.
That's just here's an example of that. Basically, you had two opposing forces of wind
Mhm.
meeting at each other, canceling each other out from friction and the lack of basically exhaust of that current. So it created a high pressure system based off of how it acted.
All right.
That's basically the same thing here.
Yep.
Basically, this is going to act a bit more like less shear. And realistically, that barb wouldn't go as far out, and your 500 millibar and 850 millibars wouldn't be as sheared
Okay.
or see as much of the effects because the winds would be weakened. It would
Yep.
just be weaker winds changing direction.
Right.
And then 500 millibars, 200 millibars. Sure, you got some kinks from 500 to about, let's say, maybe 400 millibars, and from like 200 to like 175 millibars. But like overall, it's going in one direction and it's going back in another.
Yeah.
And basically, it's overall not far from 200 millibars in your wind direction with height from 500 to 200 and 200 to the top of the atmosphere.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely puts a little bit more to it for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely does. Because what I'm thinking now is based on what I'm seeing on current stuff. Let me go ahead and refresh this page real quickly. Is this area of interest right here? Oh, that convection's looking real nice and juicy over there. Let me see if I can grab Dapia and get a nice little
Seizure warning, by the
yeah.
way.
Okay, no, we can't do this because this has invests. I wonder if it's possible if I could ROI satellite imagery. I wonder if it's okay, never mind. Well, I'm not going to touch that. I'll just go on Cyclonic WX and go from there. Satellite radar.
Hey Pat, before you go to that,
Yeah.
we just get really good vertical velocity data from Delta. I'd like to have that shown on stream for everybody and talk
This
about
right
that a little
here,
bit.
is this from
Hold on
Cyclonic?
just a second. This I think might be. I am not sure. I want to let Delta take over for this one.
Yeah,
'Cause
is
he's the one
this
who
the
found
one
it.
you sent about
Delta, the
7
floor
minutes
is
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
All right, Delta, you're on.
Yeah, this is the Euro's 200 millibar velocity anomaly. So we're looking at winds about 18,000 feet up, if I'm not mistaken. That's 250 millibar. I would think it's right about there. So I'm trying to find a correlation between what the Euro ensembles were showing with our shear relaxing and trying to see if there's any hints of that. And I think I do see, because
All right.
if I'm not mistaken, the blue anomalies crossing into the Atlantic, I believe those are Kelvin waves, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, if we go all the way down to the bottom of the image,
Mhm.
closer to the August 19th,
All
we
right.
see a shot of blue breaching into the Atlantic basin. So in our system would be about 70 degrees west at that time.
Right.
So there is a Kelvin wave passing through the Atlantic. I don't remember off the top of my head if a Kelvin wave could decrease your shear, but that would correlate with the breakdown of our shear belt in the Caribbean.
Actually, I can answer that one if you'd like.
Yeah, please.
Anyways, so this is actually something that we talked about with David. So this is David's words here that I learned from him.
Yep.
Basically, your first half of your rising motion, or your green, where your Kelvin waves are, that's going to push your winds towards the east, or cause westerly winds, because your air rises and goes up, and then it spreads out, basically like a cell. So basically, right about what we're seeing here. Actually wouldn't be the most favorable, because you still have winds getting pushed out from the epicenter of your rising motion, or about 100 and I'd say that's 150 degrees west, maybe 135 degrees west, give or take, on the model run. Your winds would still be getting pushed and causing some upper level shear per
Sure.
se. But the fact that there is still rising motion tells me that, like, we could have some subtropical stuff, because more convection, more rising motion leads to more storms, severe weather based because of all the shear. But a lot of those could transition into subtropical storms. Or you could
Yeah.
have storms like these that fight for their lives and basically get influenced by basically a favorable environment that basically pickpockets when it decides it wants to be favorable and not, basically. So that would not be the most favorable. Basically, for everybody in the audience, if you take like the average, if you take like the middle of where your rising motion occurs from the leftmost side and the rightmost side, if you're on the right of that on the graph, the environment would be unfavorable. If you're on the left of that, your environment would be very favorable. For the Atlantic, that is. So, anyways, floor's back to you two.
All right.
I
right, go ahead.
think he answered everything to Tropic.
All right. We got that part taken care of. Okay. So now that we have all the conditions out of the way, let's go ahead and get into some modeling. How does that sound? Because we haven't done that tonight yet. I think a lot of people in the show are eager to do that. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new, by the way. Goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. But you guys want to look at some models and see what kind of shenanigans we got?
Sure.
Yes, I've actually been anxious about what the models have been doing,
Yes.
and we need to answer some questions for myself and the audience.
Yep.
So, Pat,
Yep.
go ahead and show us what we got.
All right, we're gonna start with weather nerds. We're gonna start with the European and then work our way through. So just so that way we can get everything out there, and that way we can show the full context, and that way people can look at what's going on. And because we have all of our conditions taken care of, I also will say I do want to cross-check. I am going to go back and forth in this part as well, just to cross-check everything, so that way everything looks 100% accurate and things aren't, like, if they seem a little off, we can look back and see what's the meteorology behind this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get that taken care of. Let's get started with this. So here's 48 hours out. You have our first signal over here to the left, not the left, but the west. I tried to say left and west at the same time. That doesn't quite work for me. You also have this area over here to the east, south of the Cabo Verde Islands. This is our area to watch out for. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start with this right here. This one over here, relatively weak signal for 48 hours out. Let's go ahead and go to 72 hours out to show you
I'd
that.
also like to say,
Yep.
there is something coming off of Africa as well.
Yep, there's that. That's our next wave.
And if you look up to the north, near North Carolina, you could see that.
And this is our
1010
subtropical
system.
Yep, that's our subtropical system. Europeans definitely getting pretty excited about it, especially as we get towards Wednesday. So we're going to want to watch out for that. So, yeah, conditions are good for the next 2.5 days. But after it moves through cooler waters, it's not going to have as good of a day for development. So that's what we're looking at over here. Gonna want to watch out for this. This is probably something, guys, we're gonna have to nowcast in the subtropics, to be brutally honest. So, yeah, that's what's going on with that. And then in terms of what's going on in the MDR, this area over here is starting to calm down, weaken, and all that. You do have a few power signals with it, but I'm not necessarily buying it too much at that current point. I'm not worried about that too much. But you are seeing some good organization and a huge amount of ensembles really popping off over here with this AOI. And this is for I believe that is Wednesday morning over here as it starts moving a bit further to the west away from the Cabo Verde Islands. Actually moves relatively slow to start off with. And as we get to 96 hours out, starts to potentially get to act together. You do have this business over here a bit further to the east. I'm not sure if this is just noise or what right here. I know it's from the second wave, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. I do find it kind of curious. The 12Z Euro wants this AOI in the central MDR to crash towards the Windward Islands or Venezuela right here. I don't really see that happening at this current point in time, but it's this big bulk that we're going to want to watch out for, especially as we go to 5 days out. Taking a quick gander at what I am seeing here, there is a bit of a divergence, but the bulk majority of the models start shifting this further up to the north towards the Atlantic Basin, maybe heading towards the Lesser Antilles. We'll watch and see how this run operates. But a lot of these do show tropical storm strength at this current point from what I am seeing. Let's go ahead and go to 6 days out. 6 days out, the power numbers definitely increase considerably with this signal right here. You're looking at potentially a 50 to 60 knot system. That's 60 to 70 mile per hour tropical storm as it starts heading towards and running into the wind shear right there. We'll have to keep an eye and see how things progress, but the European ensemble, as we established earlier, did show a decrease in that wind shear belt. How realistic is it? I don't know. I want to see how the 0Z responds on the European operational side before I verify anything. But that is an interesting thing we're going to want to watch. Let's go ahead and go to 7 days out. There is a bit of a divergence here. Some of the models want it heading towards the Leeward Islands. The majority of them keep it out to sea and a bit further to the north. But look at the power numbers with some of these right here. 991, 999, 1000, 990. That's reaching potential, dare I say it, hurricane territory right there. Please do keep in mind, this is just a few ensembles at this current point. Am I saying that this is going to be a hurricane? No, I am not saying that at all. This has, as of right now, not necessarily that high of a ceiling to start off with, and we have to watch over the next few days on what the conditions are going to do. We have a lot of moving things to work with, but we have to keep an eye on what happens. We're going to kind of have to both forecast and nowcast at the same time for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is already starting to pop up a bunch of convection right here. Question is, can it sustain it? Number two, we've seen time and time again the splashdown effect with this. I don't think, guys. I don't think. Just give me your thoughts on this, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as big of a factor this time as what we were seeing previously, given that this system's already over water.
Precisely.
Yeah.
I think I can speak on behalf of everyone when I say that part does not matter anymore.
Nope.
It's over the water. Its fuel has changed, and now we just got to see what it does now.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically, the only limiting factors is what we have looked at. Is literally shear. That's
Yeah.
literally the only limiting factor from this.
Pretty much.
And it does look like, at a glance, a relatively small to normal size system in the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
So that could either help or hurt it. It could help it because it'll stay over warm waters. But I know warm waters don't tell the entire story.
Yeah.
We also have to keep an eye on the Sahara layer.
Yep.
Sahara air layer. There we
Mhm.
go. To see like what happens with the system if it encounters it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very
Hey, can I give you guys an
vulnerable.
update real quick?
What's up?
Mhm.
I'm looking at satellite right now, and the subtropical area is blowing up convection fast.
Let's take a look at that real quick.
Wonderful.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Northwestern Atlantic.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, it's decreases first and then it starts. Oh yeah, it's starting to get its act together a bit more.
I think it's trying. I think
Yeah,
that
I
looks
think so too.
tropical. That looks
It does.
trop. That does not look sub.
Yeah, the waters are warm enough to support a tropical storm,
Yes, they are.
by the way.
Yes, I correct me if I'm wrong, Serge. Subtropical will have a more broader low,
Correct.
Yeah.
and convection won't fire up at the center. Sorry for cutting you off, Pat.
Mhm.
It'll fire up like it'll be like a donut. It'll fire up around the center, not on the center.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It sometimes can partially do so, but yes, you are correct.
Yeah. It's
It
mainly
will act more subtropical and have conditions of both. But I will say that the convection that I am seeing, I do start to see it extending around itself a little bit. It would be tiny at the moment, but considering that this is just starting to get into Dmax, I don't know how well this thing will take advantage, and I do anticipate that the NHC seeing this here, considering that I'm not expecting any shear or much dry air, considering it's just blowing up convection,
Yep.
I would not be surprised if they up their chances to like a 30-30.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
What
if
do you
they
guys
did
think?
either, but I want to wait and see, especially in the next little while, how things
Yeah.
progress.
I agree
Exactly,
with
that's
that
the big thing. Yeah,
because we're
that's
also.
my thought. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's my thought is like seeing how it progresses, but I would not be surprised if this trend continues, I should emphasize, that they go 30-30 or basically it's just the signal is there, it's blowing up convection, it's taking advantage of the nighttime diurnal signal or diurnal processes, and
Yeah.
I would say the chances are definitely increasing considering that we didn't have any convection and it looked more frontal. Now that it broke off and has more convection at a center and looks like it may be trying to wrap around itself a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
So it tells me it's trying to close off.
Okay.
I personally think that if it does well tomorrow, I think I know this may be a bold statement, but I think the NHC could potentially invest it.
I would not
Maybe.
be surprised if
Honestly,
they
they
did.
could. Yeah, and same.
Yeah, the thing is, it needs to
probably
keep building
in the
off
first
itself.
area. Yes,
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah. All right.
They'd probably
Isn't it
also
Demon?
investigate the one area. No, it's It's entering DMAX now.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, it's
in
starting
Demon.
to. It's starting to slowly. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's about 10:30 Atlantic Standard or Atlantic Daylight Time, actually. And yeah, it is in DMAX. And LT, to further along that point, they would probably invest it not long after they invest AOY 2, assuming the trend continues.
Yeah.
That I think we can agree on, right, guys?
hmm
Yeah, I can
Huh?
definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, I can say that for sure.
I think
Alrighty.
how they're gonna do this is that they're gonna if they bump it up to either 10 or 2060, the Southern AOI, they're gonna invest it right there.
Yeah.
Um,
In
and
terms of the
then
MDR
shortly
system,
after, yeah, the MDR medium
let's look.
chance.
Yeah, let me look at it.
And if that trop or subtropical AOI does anything or increases its chance drastically, I think they would I think they would invest it all, like maybe at the same time when they invest the MDR AOI.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
So, sorry to
Pat,
cut you off, LT. But someone in chat was mentioning the water temperatures real quickly. They were saying that water temperatures were 77 degrees or 25 degrees Celsius in the MDR. I'm looking at that, and that area is in tandem with the Cabo Verde Islands. This system is going to be further south away from it until it crosses right about in this area. In fact, Cyclonic WX is probably better of an illustration with this. Same with climate stuff as well. And
Pat, I hate
hold
to
on,
cut
hold
you
on,
off,
hold
but
on,
you're in
LT.
CRW.
LT, let me finish, please. Yeah, so what I'm looking at right here is like Cyclonic WX right here in terms of that. You're looking at 27 to 28 degrees Celsius, maybe 26 if it gets a little unlucky. That's what I'm looking at right there. So I just wanted to clarify that and make that clear that what I'm looking at is, yes, I kind of do see it, but at the same time is that the best way I can say is it's too far to the north for it to do an impact on the system. Sorry, LT, please go ahead. What's up? Are we good to go? Or
Hello?
yeah, you're there.
You guys.
All right.
Okay. I was just mentioning that you're on CRW.
Am I? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, am I?
That's why I was kind of
Oh,
mentioning.
Coral Reef Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to
I
kind of
sounded
cut you off there.
Sorry, LT. I should have listened. Yeah. Okay. Let's
You're
reanalyze this. North Atlantic. Yeah. Even still, looking at OISAT. Yeah. Point still stands. All right. Sorry,
Yeah.
LT, to cut you off. What were you saying? Or were you just listening to me?
I think just the storm, yeah, basically same thing as CRW, but still use OI.
Yeah, my bad. My bad. I didn't realize.
You're fine. It's okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry to cut you off though.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
But
That's something important that I need to know. I do apologize for doing that. Okay, let's just keep diving into this. All right.
yeah,
Sorry.
I'm gonna take a look. Oh. I was taking a look at the MDR.
Yeah. I want to look at, but yeah, to your point about this being an invest right here, I was looking at it. If it can keep its organization and its convection going, especially into tomorrow morning, I absolutely can see it being designated as Invest 92L or 93L.
Hey.
What?
Sorry to cut you off. As of August 8th, 2026, in the MDR, we are now at 0.698
What was that last part?
The temp anomaly for
Oh,
the
okay.
Atlantic MDR. We're
Oh
now
yeah,
at
that's really
0.
ramped up. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, but we didn't get the full chart of it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's North Atlantic
Oh,
looking like?
it's
Oh,
really
okay, I gotta
bad.
talk about this real quickly. Can we talk about the fact that our 2026 Atlantic water temps are rivaling 2024's? It's literally right there.
Yeah, marine heat wave, as I was mentioning,
Yep.
just me and you were mentioning just earlier. August did in a week what July did in a month.
Yeah.
It's just alarming. Go back to the beginning of the year, Pat, with the sea surface temperature anomalies.
All right. Let's do that. Map and animation, North Atlantic, January. All right.
Yep. So you slowly play through like the weeks and all that. You see how you got cooler waters off the
Yeah.
Cabo Verde. Now go into March.
I know we did this on a previous Triple P show. So, yeah, it
Yeah,
cooled off pretty
it's just
considerably.
again and then go into June.
June.
Yeah, you get with it. Even now, like you see, the cooler waters
Yep.
are almost exclusively just
Yeah.
chilling in the MDR.
Yep.
Then then the warmth occurs in Europe, and then look what happens.
Yeah. Then you have your heat wave starting in June. Going in
And then you
July, it really gets out of
July.
hand.
Yep.
And it starts pumping into
Yep.
the MDR. And then August.
And then it levels off a little bit, and then it just basically did
Boom.
all of that in July in a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, Pat, it doesn't just go up and down. It oscillates. So even it looks like it's cooling, that's just
Mm.
oscillating.
Oscillation, yeah.
Yep. With
which
an
is
overall
mine-
uptrend.
Which is minor cooling, but like it's why don't you explain?
I get that. And before we do that, Pat, can you go back to that image real quick for me?
Which image are we talking about?
That one right there, the most recent image on the Atlantic AMO.
Yeah.
Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation for everybody in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said that this was comparing to 2024. Can you pull up 2024 on this date so we can kind of like compare and contrast?
Yeah.
You can kind of see very similar setups.
Except this is way warmer
way.
in the subtropics.
Yeah, in 2026. And then far North Atlantic, you got way warmer waters in 2024. But the fact that the waters are rivaling that, and this was one of your two warmest years ever recorded in history in the Atlantic, is just alarming.
Yep.
Now this is likely the third warmest Atlantic on record.
It
officially.
is. It is.
It could theoretically pass for second and surpass 2024. Maybe even make a run for record if this continues like it does. Considering what we're seeing here, and like a teleconnection I'm seeing, go to the Gulf of Maine on that.
Yeah, let's just
We see North
let's
Atlantic.
just I want to get back to modeling soon, so I want to
Yeah, this is my last thing.
All right.
Just look at that most recent jump.
Yep.
That tells you that the waters are warming around the northern Atlantic, which will create a feedback loop into your tropical Atlantic. Even if it is a small area, it's still a teleconnection nonetheless. Wouldn't you agree so, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yep.
Pat, now back to you and the models.
Okay, let's get to that. Let's get back to that. Okay, so where we left off of that before we got sidetracked here with the subtropics and then the water temperatures and all that. Here's where we are 7 days out with that. So with that being said and all, you're looking at your power numbers starting to uptick a little bit. You're noticing at least around this time frame, it's running into this belt of wind shear that starts to crumble after this point. Let's go ahead and go to 8 days out, which is August 17th. Guys, what are you seeing here?
Massive uptick.
Massive uptick with the
north.
power.
And
Yeah.
And that's not the only thing.
interestingly, most of the malls are considered northward instead of closer to the Lesser Antilles, like
Yes.
Erin.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
more
I
of
was
like
just
gonna
about to
be
say.
a Gabrielle, like how it like moved like curved
Yeah,
northward.
this is the 0Z LT, just to show you what we were looking at previously. Here's what the 12Z looks like now. We've
It
seen
did
a
shift
shift to
a
the
little
west.
south. Yeah, and a little to the south as well. Minor movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
This
can.
track looks very similar and familiar to something
Yeah,
else we've seen.
it looks. The thing is, if it moves too far west, I mean, if it moves a little bit further to the west, it's in that sweet spot. But if it moves too far
Yeah.
to the west, then you're going to have a situation where ultimately it's going to be running into some problems. Because,
The Caribbean graveyard
Yes.
screams the name.
yeah. So we're going to have to see what's going on with that. We'll see we'll see for sure. But all right, so that's what we have with the ECNS. With that, at least according to, let's go ahead and go to 9 days out. Yeah, the power numbers continue to increase from here. Then we go to 10 days out. This is the furthest I'm gonna go. Yeah, there's definitely more power associated with this compared to the 12Z. Not the 12Z. The 0Z, 12Z is more power, but it's also more scattered. I'm noticing. We're seeing a split. Some of the models want this to impact the Antilles and maybe head further to the west. Rest of them pull it out to sea. So you are seeing that split, and looking at what I'm seeing, yeah, it's not as uniform, but every single one is shifted to the west. Kind of more so into that sweet spot area. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see how this progresses. But yeah, we'll have to we'll have to see.
Can you go to the recent one?
This is the
Just
recent
wanna
one.
Kind of Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna do.
All right. With that being said, LT, if there's isn't anything else you wanted to add, I want to go ahead and start shifting to other models so we can give the full context.
Okay. I'm done. I was just
Okay.
doing the.
All right. Let's
Yeah.
start with the European AI and see what's going on with that. Not as strong right here. Not as strong, but you're I do want to see how things start panning out 72 hours out. You have our signals here. The European AI over here has this first area moving into the Caribbean graveyard, not doing too much. With that, you have the system kind of organizing, doing its best over here southwest of the Cabo Verdes as well. I am kind of interested in wondering what's this business over here with the European AI. Are they forecasting the wave behind this to do something with this? To do something?
My guess is that both of them, one, they could merge and then form, or two, it does basically what the first wave is supposed to do, sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
But in here, the second one will just die and the third one will take its place. I think that's what the Euro was forecasting some days ago.
let me
Like,
look at
remember when we saw that third one
Yeah, okay.
just develop?
Yeah, I remember that one. We thought the wave that's currently organizing now was going to be the sacrifice. No,
Yeah.
doesn't look like it. But yeah, let's go
It
to...
looks to be like a merge, or
Yeah, if it
like
does...
it's gonna merge.
Yeah, if it does merge, though, it's going to be very disorganized. The vorticity's going to look really warped, and it's probably just going to kill off any chance of the system developing at that point. if that were to happen, which is why I was looking at this and I'm going, this is both giving me Aaron vibes in terms of the track and Invest 91L vibes in terms of some of the uncertainty here. So that's kind of part of the reason why I was looking at that. So yeah, that's what the AI is showing. Let's go ahead and I want to go to 9 days out and see what's going on here. All right. So not as powerful as the European is. The ensembles that it mainly keeps it so far in the main development region. If it does move into the Atlantic basin over here, it might do something, but that's the European AI in a nutshell in general right there. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's look at the GFS ensembles right here. Okay, this is a little interesting. Oh, this is the 0Z run from earlier. Okay, what was the... Let me see the AI run. I had these 0Z on for the AI run. Okay, this is the 12Z. Still, bit of a shift to the west, but not as much power as the European. So, that's what's that. Here's the GFS, and 0Z... Hey, guys, look at the 12Z. It's shifting with the Euro, and look at the power numbers starting to come up a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
interesting. This is
Like
hitting...
you were saying that sweet spot.
It's hitting that sweet spot right there. We'll have to see what's going on with that for sure. But, yeah. Okay, someone in chat is asking me to see the European AI 18Z. I'll just entertain it real quickly. Okay. Not as strong, but shifting towards the Antilles and a very close pass to the Bahamas like Aaron. Okay.
But there seems to still slightly be a split,
Yes.
but it does seem like majorly southward, but that 987 says otherwise because it's a strong mall.
Yeah.
But when I say that, I'm not saying that this thing's gonna become a hurricane.
No.
It's just how strong the model is and how likely it is. Basically, the stronger the models, the more percentage it could do, like where it will go.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 18Z. Here's the 12Z. Okay. So here's the 12Z in terms of what we have right here for the GFS. Still a bit more conservative compared to the Euro, but the power numbers are starting to increase as well. 18Z is coming in, shifting a bit further to the west. I want to see what the 0Z does. So that's our ensemble. Okay, this is what everybody was in here was talking to me about before the show. We're finally getting to this. This is the Google DeepMind right here. And we're going to start from the very beginning. Let's go ahead and go 244 hours out and take a look at this. First off, I just want to vet and see where this is kind of initializing, and second off, I just want to kind of keep an eye on it. Okay. All right, this is the date right here. This is guys, this is 4 days out. I don't know. Okay, help me out. What's the 18Z? Okay, the Google DeepMind definitely is uptrended compared to the 0Z. Yeah, definitely has. But I think the timing is a little bit off with this.
Pat,
Yeah, what's up?
that may be the second and the wave after the second that it's picking up.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just look at this real quickly. Yeah, second wave, you're seeing an uptrend. Third wave, you're seeing something happening over here. Let's go ahead and go to 6 days out. I'm watching the second wave more so than this one right here. It's kind of shifting a bit further to the south and potentially, at least to the track, heading towards the Windward Islands. Let's go ahead and go an extra day out. Yeah, similar things going on over there. This one's heading to the Caribbean. This one is shifting further to the north. 192 hours out. Yeah, okay. This is definitely been an uptrend for sure. Yeah, okay. I want to see what the 0Z Google DeepMind's going to do. And just to vet everything, since now the NHC has tagged this, we know where it's at. And in general, I want to see what the Google DeepMind is going to correlate with that and see how that's going to pan out. But yeah, the AI runs are definitely starting to uptrend with this.
I do want to make a very clear disclaimer
Yes.
before you move on. The Google DeepMind can be, when I say extremely aggressive, I mean
Yeah.
pretty aggressive with their numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So just a little disclaimer. Take that with a real grain of salt.
Yeah,
You gotta look at the meteorology behind it.
absolutely.
Because, yeah. But track wise, DeepMind DeepMind / FMV3 supports a more Aaron type track, like more closer to the northern part of the Lesser Antilles. Yeah.
All right, thanks, LT. But yeah, I've seen what's been going on later with the Google DeepMind. I'm not going to show it on stream because, number one, it goes too far out, and number two, I'm not really entertaining that at this point. I'm just seeing what the runs are going for. So that's what's going on with that. Here's the GENC. GENC was one of the most conservative models that was out there. Show you that 0Z was showing pretty much nothing. What's the 12Z going for? Hey, look at this. There's actually something out here. So that's what we're paying attention to with that. Let's go. So it looks like for me the ensembles definitely have upticked with this. With this right here, but we're gonna want to watch this. At least with this system, what we can say is this does have time to get its act together. It does have time to organize and develop. Is it going to do it quickly or is it going to do it more gradually? Right now, we're not 100% sure, but based on what I'm seeing, dare I say it, it looks to me that it might be ahead of schedule. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's doing good considering the stage of development at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's for sure. All right, let's go ahead now and look at our operationals, because the ensembles are one thing, but what are the operationals going to do? So let's go ahead and keep an eye on what's going on. I do want to preface that ensembles, when they start blowing up again, it can take a little time for the operational to start catching up. We'll have to see what happens with that, and especially if this gets designated as an invest, what the Hurricane models ultimately do with this. So here's your European at the 12Z. This system's starting to organize, trying to make something out there, but the European's not really too excited with this right away until it gets closer to the Atlantic Basin. But even then, you're not seeing too much, at least according to the 12Z Euro, despite the power number increase from what we saw with the ensembles. Just to check for the 18Z, and you know what, I might check the 18Z ensembles as well to see how that's doing. But okay, here's the 18Z ensembles. Okay, about similar to what we saw with the 12Z, I would say. What's the 18Z Euro ensembles going for at this current point? Let's go ahead and click that. Go to 144. Okay. Yeah. The 18Z has more power. This is what the 18Z Euro is showing for if you guys are in the call watching my stream right now in Discord. Yeah. That's what we're seeing.
Interesting.
Yeah, also a shift to the north as well. We're seeing the power numbers go up. I want to see what the 0Z does and if these operational runs start catching up.
So, for instance, the Euro operational is actually on the far western side of its ensembles.
Yeah. So you're saying the operational is initializing further to the west than where it's at now?
No, I think it's more. I think the operational, because it's weaker, it's
Mhm.
getting pulled more west than if it was stronger,
Okay.
like some of the ensembles are.
All right. That
Because
makes
stronger-
Sounds
sense.
like what happened. Sounds like what happened with Aaron.
Yeah.
Stronger
And it was
ensembles
weaker.
go north.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Aaron, I'm not saying that this is gonna be like Aaron. Usually when systems are weaker, they tend to go more westward than strong, because stronger systems have a harder time
Yeah.
deal with steering currents. That's why weaker systems are fairly susceptible to higher amounts of steering current.
Yep. All right. So that's what we're dealing with that. Based on what I've been seeing tonight, let's see if I can. Okay, it looks like this hasn't updated in a while. Okay, satellite imagery hasn't updated in a little while. Let's see if that continues. Okay, yeah. GOES imagery hasn't updated in a little while. Let's see if I can grab it on Cyclonic. Just to kind of gather what's going on. Let's do... Yeah, let's let's go to... Yeah, let's do that. Oh, GOES 19. Let's region... Let's see. The far North Atlantic. No, let's... Tropical Atlantic, that'll work. Let's look at... No, let's look at infrared. Let's loop that and see what we're looking at with that. Okay, yeah, we got some more. Oh, right here. I want to see if I can open this. No, I can't.
And we could see both
Yep.
systems.
Yes, we can. All right, I'm looking at this. Yeah, this is still disorganized to the left. To the right, this one is... I want to see that last frame. The last couple of frames. Okay. There is...
Really good spin on
Oh,
the
yeah.
1050. That's
Yep.
very good spin.
Also has a
And-
potentially developing CDO with it, too.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
And that 020 has some, you could see a little spin, but not that much.
With this one over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at it really closely, you could see some, correct me if I'm wrong, mid to upper level spin.
Let me see.
Very broad cyclonic spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, to say the least. All right. So that is definitely... This is good. We'll have to see what happens in the next little while, but this area of interest... Yeah. I could see the NHC ticking it up to 2060 at the next advisory if it keeps going. I
I would
absolutely
also
can see
just-
that.
I would also like to say that you can easily tell that our first wave versus our second wave has a different convective mode, as I like to say it.
Yes.
The first wave is more small thunderstorms popping in and up, your popcorn convection, which is not what you want for tropical development or wave trying to organize. It's starting. The second wave, you have big convective bursts that are holding and building, and then maybe waning a little bit, but then rebuilding again. Those are the kind of waves that are much more mature and closer. They're getting closer towards cyclone genesis.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at this. To be brutally honest, this is something that I wasn't even expecting to be going this well for it this far. This is a situation that we're gonna want to watch, and to make matters more interesting, you have this wave in front of it that if it stays disorganized and nothing happens with it, it's only gonna fuel a better environment for this one right here, especially as it moves further to the west. Would you say that this system's detached from the ITCZ, or are we not quite there yet?
Not quite there yet.
Okay, so
no,
it's
not quite.
once it
It's still very
detaches.
broad.
Yeah, once it detaches, it keeps that convection, develops its own low. Game, set, match. Right there. Yeah, Delta, I see what you're thinking. NHC, you're thinking NHC goes 20 or 30, 60 for wave 2. Delta?
Yeah, just with the models, with the ensembles getting more friendly with it, with the organization, with the some satellite improvement, I could see them going definitely 20, maybe 30 over the next 2 days, because it just looks a lot healthier than even it did earlier today.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, I would not be surprised if the NHC did that. I want to check on our area in the subtropics once again, see if we can get a new scan on this. Okay, let's look at that. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna check cyclonic because there might be something interesting going on over there. Let's look at that. So now, let's see. This is full disk. Goes 19. Tropical Atlantic. Western Atlantic. Oh, this will work. This is our area right here. Still producing convection. Also noticing this little flare up a bit further to the east as well. Maybe extending a little bit. We'll have to watch and see how it goes. But off to a great start.
Hey, Pat.
Yep.
Go to Weather Nerd satellite,
All right.
and you can get much closer in.
Oh, yes, we can.
All right, go to other regions.
Other regions. North
All right,
Atlantic.
go to that'll work, and then you can zoom in on it.
It's not letting me zoom in. Oh, draw them. It's not letting me zoom in, which is weird.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's-
Maybe
that's-
you can pull up,
Hmm?
share my screen for a moment.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, go ahead. All right. Oh, we got lightning in this thing. All right.
Yeah, that's what it looks like right now.
Yep. Yeah, we got lightning in this, folks.
52 strikes.
With some peaks, that could also just be off the.
That's
coast. Like about
outside.
50. Yeah, I would say about 50 strikes. Yeah, it's looking a little bit more healthier.
Absolutely.
There's
Shear
even
is
a
also
little bit of
southern.
cyclonic spin to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
How about the
Shear is
southern
also
one?
rapidly dropping.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, there we. Oh, this'll look fire. Let's get the loop. Oh, noticing a lot more concentrated lightning going on in our AOI.
That's doing some a bit. is doing some fairly good amount of lightning.
Yep. We're definitely keeping an eye on that. It's also a lot more organized as well. It's more concentrated in those CDO areas, particularly the center one. So, yep.
All right.
Someone in chat's asking, Dapia exists, right? Dapia doesn't cover, unfortunately, like this system has to be an invest for Dapia to start tracking it. So we'll have to see what
Hey,
happens.
Pat, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
This is not tropical related, but this is near your area.
Mm.
There is a PDS tornado in north central Illinois, so
Oh boy.
be careful, please.
Okay, thanks for the heads. Yeah, it's not close to me, but thanks for the heads up. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, wasn't sure.
Yep, couple
Stay
cells
safe.
are firing over there. I'm not. That's north of where I'm at. I'm not gonna say where I'm at, but thanks for the heads up. So, all right. Definitely been an interesting last couple of hours we've been on the show. So, main question I have is, well, I think we cleared a lot of bases in the Atlantic for right here. Because we kind of went over the basics. We went over the basics with our subtropics. We went over the basics with this. Trying to think what else I can say. What else I can say here? What I'll do is, yeah, because what I can do here is the following. I can go back to the tropical Atlantic, loop that. Take a quick gander once again. See, yep, we have our new frame in. Okay, this is interesting. Man, I wish Dapia would give us a better shot, but concentrate CDO, folks. That's starting to get its act together. Also, guys, I'm noticing several bursts of convection firing to the north of this. Are you seeing this? Potentially something we might want to keep an eye on over here.
Yeah, I
Which
did
one?
see that.
Yep.
The first or
Second
second?
one.
The second one. Yeah, and that's yeah. All right.
It looks a lot more impressive.
Absolutely. All right. So, with that being said, I think we've covered a lot with the Atlantic. We have something developing in the East Pacific, more accurately near Hawaii, that we're going to be talking about next. We're going to spend a little bit of time covering that next, since that's since Delta has been talking to me about. This is something I know he especially wants to probably lead off on, so I'm going to let him do that in just a second. This is CP93 that's going on, heading towards Hawaii. Delta, if you want to take it away, you can.
All right. Go to satellite imagery on it. We actually do have, I think Dapia has this for 93C.
Oh, that's good. All right, let's go ahead and go to OTT. All right, what do we got?
We're seeing we're seeing good rotation and
Seizure warning,
on
by the way.
visible. Yep, seizure warning. We're noticing a marketed increase in organization.
Yep.
And I'm also seeing hints on visible, looking at the low level clouds of looks to be a mostly closed area of low pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say we are not very far off from a tropical cyclone genesis with this. Probably within the next 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah, and this is heading right for the Hawaiian Islands, from what I've been seeing too. So that's also heightened my concern with that as well.
And if you go to the cyclonic WX, we also got some of the models.
All right.
Model data for it. Current storms.
Current storms. Let's go
93C.
All right. Oh yeah, it's over warm water. Okay, yeah, here's the track guidance, and here's the intensity. We're gonna pull these up for you. Yep, this is, by the way, expected to head towards the Hawaiian Islands, according to the track models.
And for those who are watching here in Hawaii or have people in Hawaii, Hawaii doesn't tend to have tropical trouble very often,
No.
especially stronger on the stronger end. Maybe tropical storm is your normal, but this does have the potential with the direction of the travel where it's coming from. Because of our very strong El Nino, our sea surface temperatures to the south of Hawaii are a good amount warmer than what they normally would be. And that difference is can allow for systems that come from the south to not weaken as much as if it was coming from the west towards you, like with Genevieve, I
Right.
believe. It's the one, because Genevieve was coming from the West Pacific, from the East Pacific, and crossing diagonal. It was hitting those cooler waters before you got anywhere near, and it fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
But since this is coming from the south, this has a much better chance of holding or not weakening nearly as much. And we also have hurricane model data for the 18Z for this.
All right. Is this the intensity runs, or is this something else that we're looking for?
You can go to Tropical Tidbits, pull up like the Halves A and the H Wharf.
Okay, yeah. Let's pull that up. Let's look at forecast models. The Halves A, Invest 93C. Okay. Let's shift over to main sea level pressure in 10 meters right here. All right. What is it you want to take a look at?
Okay, so we're seeing that it's rather slow to organize,
Mm-hmm.
but once it can get going, so if we go farther out in time, closer to the end of the run,
Yeah. Yep. Definitely starting to wrap its core around. Them reaching hurricane strength right as it's approaching the Big Island.
okay, and this is meant you potentially could have. So this is right now a Category 1 hurricane.
Yes.
And here, like in Hawaii, is not really built or designed, or houses are not really designed for hurricanes because you rarely get them. You would think Hawaii, being a tropical island, that you would have hurricanes a lot more often, but it's really more subtropical. It also has to do with the island's topography and everything. So if we go to so that is the worst case scenario for Hawaii. So if we go to like the H Wharf, there's a potential that this could get even stronger. So
Yep.
the H Wharf was showing a 985. This one actually passes to the north and around Hawaii. If you go to the H Wharf parent,
Oh, the H Wharf parents. All right.
it will show you better where it's
Oh,
at.
yeah. Yep.
So it's much farther to the east, and it goes around Hawaii, which is a very likely scenario as well, but it also gets stronger. So 93C does have the potential, is a potential threat for Hawaii, which is, well said, doesn't happen very often. And I also took a look at the probabilities of RI, and those numbers are actually elevated.
All right.
I have those. I sent those in the chat as well.
Yeah, I saw those earlier. Oh, man. Yeah, that does not look good.
Mhm.
We're like, yeah, if you'd like to explain them a little bit, go for it.
But yeah, basically, RI, a rapid intensification. It's basically it takes a blend of the models, and then it looks. So right now, the H-Wharf, that H-Wharf run is forecasting a form of rapid intensification.
Yeah.
It also shows that our other wave to the west doesn't do very well and actually kind of gets absorbed by 93C.
Yep.
Or Fujiwara.
Well,
Are you talking
yeah,
about?
that's a
Kind of.
potential.
Yeah, I'm noticing that as well. Maybe getting absorbed due to that.
Yeah, but on the words of rapid intensification, there are some surprising numbers for a Central Pacific type system that is heading in the Hawaii's general direction. Like there's some agreement. I'm seeing numbers like 41% of a 45 knot in 36 hours. So if this is initializing at 20 knots. So 65 knots in 36 hours, that's borderline, that's a very strong tropical storm. And those numbers kind of oscillate. There's 65 knots at 72 hours, 43%, and it uses a blend. So this is not like with Bobby or Dolphin where those numbers were sky high right off the bat. If there's any real chance of an RI, it's going to happen probably within the next 36, 48 hours. But as we see, those scenarios happen when it doesn't head towards Hawaii. It struggles to intensify if it makes more of a direct course.
Yeah.
And if I believe, do we have like a shear product or dry air product on those runs?
Let's see if we do. We have relative humidity on this. In terms of yes, and we do have wind shear.
Okay. So let's look at wind shear.
All right, what do we got?
Okay, so it's kind of initialized is kind of in a pocket. There's a little bit of shear to its north. Looks like we have a touch to the north. So if we go farther ahead in time.
All right.
Okay, so that's why it gets its act together, because it's actually getting some divergence aloft. It's getting jet-assisted divergence. That's why it intensifies. But if we look closer towards Hawaii, there's more shear, and it's in a much more unfavorable directional shear, which would explain why the halves, it struggles to intensify at a rate similar to the H-Wharf. So, and then of course, if you add on to the dry air, so we'll switch over to the dry air, please.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Yep, that would explain it. So there is a lot of dry air around Hawaii, which is almost kind of going to act like a shield.
Yep.
And if that shear can get into the center of 93C and in its future, that will also cause it to not be able to rapidly intensify or strengthen very much if it heads into the general direction of Hawaii. So at this point, I would say there is a potential for at least a tropical storm, maybe a strong tropical storm. But I'm giving that really like a 30 to 40% chance, 30% chance of occurring.
With 93C?
And
Yep.
All right.
And on those layer frames, it looks like dryer actually tries to get into the system.
Yeah. Yes,
I
it
guarantee
does.
if you look at sorry, if you look at the shear, it'll probably show why.
You could look at 200. Try and look at 200 millibar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there's
That
shear.
does more Really? That's shear?
Yeah, there is some directional shear, but there is also a lot of divergence assistance.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be kind of neutral. It'll help and hurt the system.
Yeah.
But all I have to say to that is remember Fausto.
Yes.
It was I'm not searching the conversation. I'm just saying that Fausto was an infamous case of where cooler waters and even some present shear didn't really affect its intensification that much. And they just kind of wanted to take note of that to like see if this thing will do like a Fausto. But Fausto was an interesting case. So I don't know if it will.
All right. Regardless, if you are tuning in from the Hawaiian Islands, this is something you're going to want to watch very, very closely. This could be a scenario where, at least according to some of the hurricane runs, you could be impacted by this. We're going to watch it for you. We're going to keep you updated on all of that. Is there anything else you want to go with over with Invest 93C?
No, I think we're good, Pat.
All right then. Okay. Is there anything else that's going on in the basins? Otherwise, we could probably just call it a night here.
We do have
I think that's
15.
everything.
Oh yeah, that is everything.
All right.
Yeah, that's in the West Pacific, LT.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. If that's the case, then we're gonna go ahead and probably call it a night then. So, for those of you tuned in, thank you for watching tonight. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And looks like we crashed right as. Okay, it's coming back. Okay, never
You're
mind.
kind of breaking up.
Oh
Oh.
yeah, my internet's starting to.
You good?
Well, give it a second. All right, we're back. We're back. Okay, we're gonna end it here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it took this long for things to start crashing on my end, thankfully. So we're gonna end it here tonight.
Don't forget the announcement again.
For what? For what? Which?
The documentary.
Oh yeah,
re-announcing it
Melissa,
again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In October. Myself, Logan, and the rest of these guys, as well as a few other people, we're making a Hurricane Melissa documentary. It's going to be released in October, so be sure you check that out and be waiting for that because it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. We're going over everything, and we're going to have multiple YouTubers helping out as well and doing interviews and all that stuff. It's going to be a massive project, so I'm looking forward to it. I know these guys are definitely looking forward to it. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people.
That's
Yep.
yet to come.
Yeah. Goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. Feel free to join the Storms United Discord server. The link to that is in the pinned chat. And with that being said, thank you for watching the Triple P Show. We will be doing our next show on Friday night at the same time. Stay safe, everybody.